You know where you are!
This is Appetite for Distortion.
Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode number 418. My name is Brando. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Aaron North. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. You're good?
I am good.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate, because those of us who are watching on YouTube, you did the wave. But yes,
Yeah.
I'm also on all the podcast platforms as well. So,
Cool.
yeah. So, I mean, if you are watching on YouTube, can I ask where are you communicating from today? Is it a secret location?
No, nothing secret about it. I live in Los Angeles, still living in Los Angeles, living in Hollywood, yeah, in the crazy neighborhood right off Santa Monica.
Okay.
And yeah.
It's
Yeah.
strange because we were talking before we started recording. You're asking where I'm from, and if you can't tell anyone, I'm from New York from my accent. And while I've done some traveling in my life, nowhere near like my wife has, she's coming back from Seattle this past weekend. She took my 4-month-old son, 4-month-old son, with her, not really thinking she was going to bring him to the show to see Dave Matthews. She had her sister there to watch him, but just one day, like, he's behaving. It's okay. Brought him like down to the lawn seats. He had the big headphones on. So his first concert, Dave Matthews. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I could have brought him. Well,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm upset because I could have brought him to Guns N' Roses last month or Metallica the month before.
So
But
did you see the Metallica show that just came through? Did
yeah.
you see? Yeah.
Mhm.
What'd you think?
I liked it. It was my first time seeing them in 20 years.
Wow.
And I only went to one of the two nights because I wanted to see Pantera, but I didn't want to spend a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, they were great. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a fantastic time. And just to
Yeah.
think back, Aaron, I don't know if you, because where you were in your time in your life at the early 90s, but just Metallica and GN'R would play
No.
the same night.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
can't imagine that.
Yeah, no, like well, I'm 44 years old, and Metallica and Guns N' Roses were like the Beatles and the Stones to me, like they were the bands, they were the first bands where I knew every guy's name in the band, and maybe it's a lot growing up in LA, I'm sure similar in the New York area, tri-state areas, where it's similar experience where there's only a handful of places I mean, even earlier than the early 90s, like late 80s, early 90s, where you had access to that kind of stuff, and I'm talking about because of radio and things like that, right? Like where yeah, it was part of the culture if you were into music whatsoever and stuff like that. Yeah, so it was inescapable, and uh, they were the best for rock and roll and metal. They were the best. They were the best. There was a reason why they're the most popular bands. They were some of the best bands. Yeah.
I think I just hit the cutoff because I'm gonna be 40 on Friday when I put this out. So I have brothers, we're all 4 years apart. So the 4 years makes a difference where I
Yeah.
just missed the cutoff. But I want to mention, and then a couple episodes I did mention, I read an email that I got. Because I always encourage listeners from all over. So I have listeners in LA, Seattle, Australia, all over. I want them to participate because there are GNR fans everywhere. There are Nine Inch Nails fans everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm lucky that they listen to my little show here. So I always encourage participation. There are my
Yeah.
producers. So I'll reread this, and I did offer him the co-hosting opportunity today, but he couldn't make it. This is from Adam Kale. I don't think
Oh,
any relation to
shit.
the food.
Right. hold on. I'm having a. Okay, wait. Did I sign out accidentally or something?
No,
Shit.
I can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay. I'm having weird pop. Sorry.
That's no, that's all right. This
Technical.
happens during the. It's like it's I treat it even though it's pre-recorded. It's like rock and roll. Shit happens.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta
What are
gotta.
you getting like pop-ups or something?
Yeah. I'm just getting weird pop ups. Things telling me that I'm good now. I'm good. Good.
Okay, all good.
So I got this sunlight
Yeah.
coming in my face.
Do you need to move a
Yeah.
little bit?
You know what? I didn't think I was gonna have to, but like this just happened within the last second now, and I think I'm gonna have to. Is it okay
Yeah.
if I?
Yeah. No, I like this. This is a mobile interactive interview. So like, where do you need to move, or do you
I'm
need
gonna
to?
have to move. Here, I'll just shift this way a little bit. Sorry, everybody.
No, I like this. What's behind
So,
you? You have a lot of books.
oh yeah,
Big
just,
reader.
no, a lot of a lot of books with pictures though.
I
There's
like it.
some box sets and stuff. Uh, yeah. Oh, here's a Guns N' Roses box set there, and some Metallica box sets and stuff.
Oh, I like it.
Is
All
this
right.
better? Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think it's better for you, so the sun's not
This,
directly into your eyeballs, so it doesn't
sorry
look like
about that.
you're squinting and you're just like questioning everything I'm saying just by squinting because of the
Yeah.
light. You're not doing
Sorry about that.
all good. So, and believe me, I'll do something weird. The light
Hmm.
will fall on me. The cats will jump on me during the interview. This is how I prepare. As I
Yeah.
mentioned before, sometimes I have a baby on me. He sometimes cries. Things happen during an interview. So to go back to so my listeners, some reason they like all the chaos of the podcast. They like the GNR theme. So this is from Adam Kale, and what's amazing is I still get new listeners. Like that's awesome. It's not just like 5 GNR fans. It just keeps growing.
Yeah. That's cool.
So this is from Adam. I recently stumbled upon your podcast by the way of your Sean Bevan interview. Somebody you may know. I don't, was it? You guys work at the
Vaguely.
same time with Nine Inch Nails? Was there an over?
No,
Okay.
no, but yeah, like he's one of those guys that was around. He's like Chinese democracy? I
Yeah.
want to say like over there in Santa Monica in that little facility they had over there. Um, yeah, like yeah. Oh shit, man, that whole era where there's nothing like that now that the music industry has collapsed and all the old levels of opulence or uh the grandiose rock and roll stuff where like where you've got the idea that Guns N' Roses was just in this warehouse with pinball machines and 40 crew dudes and all that kind of stuff. That was even though they weren't really active or doing anything, uh it was interesting. Living in LA at the time and having um I guess friends of or acquaintances who were involved in, and he's not a guy that I met personally, but I heard he was over there for some of that crazy. I mean, a lot of people that I think people might even forget about being involved at that time were involved, right? Like I know, like Billy Howardell was over there, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I know Billy was over there, and yeah, a lot of the Nails,
And
a
Josh
lot of
Freeze, right?
yeah, Josh, yeah, that would have been when what Tommy Stinson and all those guys were.
And
Did you?
your predecessor, Robin Fink in Nine Inch Nails. So that's why
Yeah,
it's all perfect. And
yeah.
I swear I'll shut up and let you go through after I get to
No,
this
no.
email. And you're kind of answering why you're perfect guest
Hmm.
on this show, because I call it a 6 degrees of GNR bacon. You
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
have to be in Guns N' Roses to be a guest.
yeah.
So he writes, you often speak with people outside the guns camp and appreciation and their appreciation for guns, which you've already shown. And one that you may not have considered on your radar before, which is true, and I apologize, Aaron,
Hmm.
is you, Aaron North. North is the former guitarist for the infamous Icarus Line, and he replaced
Uh,
Robin Fink when Fink left Nine for GNR. North is a huge Guns fan and bursting with tons of Guns lore. Grew up in LA and is an unbelievable encyclopedia of rock and roll knowledge. You're already
hmm.
showing it. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Adam and why you're one of the reasons why you're a guest on this show, because you're showing a GNR fan and you have that 6 degrees of connection.
Yeah. I mean, shit. Yeah. Yeah. I- I've never had any. I've had Axel or his camp send me cease and desist. This is back in 20 years ago, when I had my own record label, and it was this website and stuff where we would um, put up music reviews and
Buddyhead, right?
yeah, yeah. And I don't think, I think what kind of got lost on the Guns N' Roses people at the time was that where I was coming from, or where we were coming from, was from the place of people who were huge fans, right? Like, I think they maybe Axel and friends maybe they didn't take it that way sometimes, and they were kind of felt like we were just trying to make fun of them all the time or something like that. But
Well,
or just
what were you writing about? Was this during the Chinese era and just speculation, or do you
well,
remember anything specific?
yeah, well, yeah, lots of specific stuff. But at the time, yeah, that was kind of in the late '90s, going into the early aughts. Uh, that was the beginning of uh fuck how do it was just it was a different world that I don't think maybe a lot of the older bands or people involved kind of understood that the having control, what, like, how do I even fucking, the idea of having control over information or all the song. For example, I had all those Chinese democracy songs, yeah, the late 90 20 years ago, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just because, not because of us doing anything nefarious on our end, but people would give it to us, send it to us, volunteer stuff to us, all the time. And and then just, or it would be someone would get fired maybe from in that camp or over there, their little complex, and maybe because they were mad at someone, they would, oh, I know, I'll give the stuff to the Buddyhead guys, and they'll no, we never, yeah, but yeah, what I don't think the Guns N' Roses camp realized was that we weren't spreading it though. You know, it was like I've still got somewhere on a hard drive up there, yeah, like every one of those songs, 8 different mixes of every one of those songs, right? Where it's like the Axel guitar version, or the Dave Navarro guitar version, or you know, Bucket Face or Bumblehead or whoever the fuck it is. Um, and then also, I want to say sometime before that, uh, I saw that you had him on the show. That guy Gary Sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had, so in the early aughts. Yeah, I was in that band, the Icarus Line, and when we got signed to a major label, I actually had like a moment of like punk rock guilt, I guess you could call it, where it was like, you know, I felt like, oh, I made, you know, we made it or whatever, and I'm on a major label. Maybe I should figure out how to play guitar better or something, you know. And a friend, I didn't know Gary, but a friend um said, oh, you should go you should go get guitar lessons from this guy Gary Sunshine. And it's the only time in my life where I ever did anything like that, or it's ridiculous. But and as soon as I got to his place, uh yeah, even before I even played a single note or even picked up the guitar, I was just like, oh, this is not something, I don't want to do this anymore, you know. And it also, then somewhere in there before I played a note too, it came up that he was Axel's guitar teacher, right?
Right.
So, which was intriguing. And then from there, it went on to that he was talking about how he was playing on some of the stuff. So we ended up just like listening to all these Guns N' Roses songs, right?
Hmm.
And then I want to say I went back another time or two, and I never even picked up a guitar the entire time. We just listened to the Guns N' Roses songs
Oh wow.
and talked about that stuff. Yeah, and that I want to say, like, even then it was like some of those songs then were even ones that I hear those last handful of singles that they've put out or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
including those songs too. It's like, yeah,
Wow.
there was a lot of stuff, and 9 different mixes of everything and all that kind of stuff. But and, and also like I think maybe the Guns N' Roses can't. I admittedly, like, we did well. Shit, there's I as a Guns N' Roses fan, I I'm yeah, I miss in a way, or I missed at that time the lineup that, or the people involved that I felt brought the best in that situation, which to me, uh, first and foremost is Izzy Stradlin, right? Like, and I felt like as a fan, I not mad about it. I don't give a shit. I don't got a dog in the race or anything, but I it was interesting at that time to kind of see, well, how are they going to do this without Izzy's songs,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think they kind of took maybe some of that. I wouldn't say criticism, but just like it. I could see how they, or the Axel crew, took it as us talking shit or whatever. But at the end of the day, I mean,
That's your opinion.
it's just my opinion, right?
And
Like,
it's, I mean, it's like your favorite character leaving a TV show. It's in a lot of ways. So
yeah,
there's
that's one
still
way.
people, I've made some memes lately sharing on social media being like Izzy's never coming back. I'm sorry to appreciate where we are now, but I do hear what you're saying as somebody who never experienced that. I kind of
Yeah,
feel slighted in that way, but at the same time, it doesn't mean I don't support other versions of the band or the current version. That can
yeah,
all be true.
yeah.
So I hear
No,
what you're saying.
yeah, I've heard all the these are the conversations you have with your friends,
Right.
when you're whatever, and you're talking shit and you're throwing it back and forth or whatever. It's like, um
That's
yeah,
why
in
it's
my
funny you're doing this with Gary Sunshine,
yeah,
who ended up being on Oh My God
yeah,
with Dave Navarro and the guitar teacher of Axel. And by the way, if you need, it's so funny. If you, it's like watching a ball game when it's
right,
sunny, and it just slowly the light goes over
yeah.
like the so if you need to keep swirling, moving around the desk, I want you to be comfortable
So,
during.
are you a Mets fan or a Yankees fan?
I'm a Yankees fan.
Gotcha,
This
gotcha.
this year is this might be the first year they are that might be finishing last place and under first losing season since I was 9, maybe.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, which is kind of
yeah. No,
kind
I'm enjoying every minute of it.
of.
Yeah.
So wait, where? Because you're in LA, like, are you a Dodgers fan?
Oh yeah, yeah. Born and
Okay,
bred. Yeah, uh, yeah. I'm born and raised LA. Yeah, from Redondo Beach originally.
okay,
Uh,
fair enough. My
yeah,
grandfather, before he passed away, he was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan, and even
gotcha.
though they moved quite a while for quite some time, he still rooted against the Yankees. So
Yeah,
he
yeah,
ended up having 4 grandsons that were Yankee fans, so that sucked
yeah,
for him.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah. Sorry to change the.
No, that's I ended up changing it because I'm seeing the light in your eyes, and you're my
Yeah, I
guest. You're a
apologize.
guest in my Zoom house, so I want you to be comfortable.
Yeah.
But that's cool. So do you remember? And I want to get into how it segues into how you got into guitar, like where you were when you first heard Guns N' Roses, and did that impact you as a young player, or was it just a band that you enjoyed? I guess going back. Um,
Well, I
yeah, how
was.
did your story start a little bit, and were they involved in that at all?
Yeah, like I was. Guns N' Roses was them and Metallica were the first bands that, yeah, where I knew every band member's name, and I knew all the words to the songs, and I was a super fan. I remember, yeah, I was 8 years old when Appetite came out.
Hmm.
Um, I know maybe for the rest of the country or maybe for the rest of the world, that record might have been like a slower burn where maybe it didn't
Right.
really hit with the mainstream until Sweet Child of Mine. But in LA, no, it was from the jump. Welcome to the Jungle video and all that kind of, it was already, it was a big deal.
Mm.
That record was a big deal. And uh and then through the years with that band I was doing uh the Icarus Line for years and years, the idea of a 2 guitar band and how it sounded, and like the sound of Appetite, where Slash is on hard pan to the right, Izzy's
Mhm.
hard pan to the left for the entire song, and then if there's a solo, you know, it comes up the middle. It's like uh the Icarus Line didn't have the thing up the middle, but yeah, it was that similar idea, the idea of the weaving of the guitars. How, but like Guns N' Roses and like I didn't make me want to play music though. You know, it's like it seemed still seemed like something that was yeah, really far away, or you know, for maybe I was too young or whatever. But yeah, like that. I remember the Paradise City video, for example, where it was like the idea that like the whole video is basically like, oh, you know, we're just like, this is what it's like, the life of a fucking rocker guy. You know, we just fucking hang out all day, hang out in New York and go to music stores. Oh, and then we got to go play fucking, you know, the Enorma Dome or whatever that night, you know, and like, it's just looked uh, ridiculous, right? Or cool or whatever. But it wasn't until, you know, I started getting to my teens and stuff. And when I got into punk and hardcore and that kind of things, when it occurred to me that, um, music was something that I could be involved in, you know, like
Punk made it more attainable, I guess. I hate to say it like that because I'm a punk fan.
yeah,
But yeah, you're not. It's not the same musically as like a
right,
blues based hard rock band, and that's again an opinion, and it's I mean Guns N' Roses involves punk, so obviously you have to be kind of a fan of punk if you like GNR.
yeah,
Uh,
like Guns N' Roses, it kind of like, and again, a lot of it's because of the age I was at the time, but it seemed like to me like there's no fucking way I could do what those guys, you know, like I couldn't be some dude that played an instrument like that or sang, you know, like that or anything like that. You know, it was just like I was a fan, but it wasn't anything that I myself was going to be involved in. And honestly, like part of it too, maybe when you get into things like that, don't cry, the Don't Cry video, for example, I think of, where it's like, in all honesty, that lifestyle just didn't seem that appealing to me, you know, like the,
mhm.
like think about the Don't Cry video, where the entire video is based on the members of the band hanging out with their girlfriends or whatever, who they're not really getting along with, right? Like Duff's like got a girlfriend who throws a glass at him and it breaks on his bass. Slash has a girlfriend who's screaming in his face while he's driving his car that makes the car go off the cliff. Axel's hanging out with a chick that hit some other, right? It's just like the whole thing just was like that. Maybe that seems glamorous to some people, but like it just seemed fucking dumb to me. It didn't seem very appealing. Like why? Like that's just me, you know. It's just so maybe that was part of it too.
Okay.
But
You want more like the bare bones, kind of what punk rock is, and just
no,
straight in your face, and not
I just
so bloated. You
no,
didn't.
it was like it just seemed like I don't know. It's like uh it was cool, but it just it part of the culture shifted too by the time Don't Cry, you know, by the time Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 came out, that was the same year. Yeah, like the Black album came out and Nirvana, Nevermind and stuff. And as far as like for young teenage kids like me in Southern California, not as much for during Don't Cry, but like around that time, it's sad, but in ways, but the culture kind of abandons Guns N' Roses in a way, but they also abandoned Metallica in a way too. You know, like the um little thing. Yeah, when Axl Rose had his tiff with Nirvana was kind of a, you know, a line in the sand for some people, and then after that, where it was Axl Rose having a tiff with the Metallica guys, then it was kind of more. It was like a done deal, and by that time, it's like those guys had, Axl's on an oil tanker jumping off into the ocean to go swim with dolphins, and Slash is floating down Sunset. Or it was a little too Spinal Tap, I think, and it was a little too bloated for a lot of people. But in hindsight, though, I don't have anything against it. I think, yeah, like I think, fuck, man, Estranged is probably might be one of my favorite. It's definitely a top 3 Guns N' Roses song, right? Like I musically, I think that shit's great, But yeah, there was just, for whatever reason, it just I guess it rubbed certain people the wrong way, including me. And but it wasn't offensive or anything. It just I still bought the Spaghetti Incident, when it came out, and yeah, I even went and bought, like I said, even though I had those Chinese Democracy songs, was like, yeah, I'd had those songs for years by the time that record came out. I still wanted to buy it just because it was like, I felt like at the time, oh, this is my last chance to buy when am I ever going to be able to buy a new Guns N' Roses record ever?
Right, that's how we all felt at
Yeah.
that time,
Yeah.
I had the leaks off LimeWire,
Right.
waiting the stuff
Yeah.
that Mike Piazza, going back to sports, that he
Yeah.
played on Eddie Trunk's show, and
Yeah.
recordings of that.
And
So
like I was saying, no, sorry, not to get it, but like, yeah, like it did. I didn't offend me, but it was a bummer when people assumed that all those leaks were coming from me or coming from when I Buddy Head and that kind of that was disappointing, because I would never do, or we didn't do that. We weren't leaking their record out. We weren't putting stuff up on Napster, but we were getting a lot of stuff anonymously and not so anonymously. And it was, what was it like? I was not going to listen to the new.
So like you would give reviews of, oh my God, the remix with, would you give reviews of that, or you just talk about what you're seeing? And it's so funny because we're having this conversation today with songs.
Right? It's like, yeah, at the time it was like, yeah, that's over 20 years ago, where, I was the music editor, and of a website, of a music website that was, did a news/gossip column on what was going on in the music world and rock and roll and stuff. And even though Guns N' Roses at the time, which was what the Axl and Friends version of Guns N' Roses, that some people would call it, and they would, from their camp too, I would get things like, why would you guys talk about? There's nothing to talk about. But you can't tell me that a bunch of people sitting in some fucking massive warehouse with a guy with a chicken coop in the corner and a KFC bucket on his head, and that's really fucking interesting. That's yes, people wanted to hear about that kind of stuff. And it just so happened that, like I said, we knew about what was going on because people were volunteering the information to us, and because of, and that sort of thing. But it wasn't like we were trying to sabotage Axl or those guys' thing, But like,
yeah,
and
even I experienced a similar thing too. It was a few years ago. I posted
Yeah.
a picture of all these leaked songs, no music attached to it, and I was like hit with copyright strikes, and who knows where those came from. But all these now, a couple years later, let's keep talking about it. We have official music video for this song that we've been talking. So I'm curious where you were in your life at that time when you're with Gary Sunshine, when he's with Axl, and where are you musically? Are you you're still with the Icarus Line? And
that was when the Icarus Line had just got signed to a major label. We played, I'm trying to think of the timeline of that, because in 2002 we played some shows with Guns N' Roses, festivals and things like that. We ended up, because the only time I ever saw that version of Guns N' Roses, we got kicked out of the show. Axl had us kicked out of the show. It was in Osaka, Japan. So that was the Summer Sonic Festival 2002. And yeah, we got kicked out, you know.
The whole band?
Yeah, so we played that festival. I think we played the night before, a couple nights before together, say in Tokyo or something like that. And like me, all the other guys in the Icarus Line were like me, where we grew up massive Guns N' Roses fans and had heard all the stories about what was. So we kind of wanted to see it firsthand. And because we were playing at the festival, yeah, we knew that we could literally have a front row seat. So we went and saw the show. Yeah, I think Osaka. And I want to say at first we were standing there with the guys from Hanoi Rocks. But this is so long ago, but it's kind of let me see if I can jumpstart my memory a little bit. Yeah, Michael Monroe was really, he was upset because Axl made them, they were supposed to play on the same stage as Guns N' Roses at that festival, but Axl didn't want, they had some sort of beef or something had come up where, so they made Hanoi Rocks switch to some other stage or something. Anyway, we ended up, when I say I saw that version of the band, we watched them from the security, the other side of the railing. So I was 10 feet from, the front of the stage. And it was, to each his own, different strokes for different folks. To this day, I've never seen any show like that show or anything remotely like that. It was Spinal Tap meets Scooby-Doo. It was strange. Part of it was, yeah, we wanted to see for ourselves. I didn't want to, I wanted to see Tommy Stinson play too. I'm a have been huge Replacements fan. Wanted to see what the whole thing was, but it was everything. It sounds like the type of thing that if I tell the story and remember how it happened, it sounds kind of made up. That Guns N' Roses was like an hour and a half, 2 hours late, right? It was like watching the entire band show up and waiting for Axl to show up, right? And then it was like at the last minute, you see this van that screams, down the road, and there's 100,000 people or whatever waiting for but you could see this van, and then they all get the calls on their walkie-talkies like, it's happening, right? So they all get up on stage, and Axl jumps out of this minivan with his little Yoda lady, whatever.
You knew about it, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I stood 5 feet from that, from Bucket Face or whatever his name is. There was like 5 guitar players on stage, and he just kind of, he only played the solos. I'd never seen anything like that, where the sound guy basically punched him in or just put the fader up for when that guy played the solos, and then for the rest of the songs he would just kind of pretend to play or whatever. And
wow,
I just the production, the amount of people on stage, all that kind of stuff. Where it went downhill for us was I'll tell one thing that was the funniest part to me. The most Spinal Tap moment was they opened with Welcome to the Jungle, and Axl came out. So the first thing he said that came out of his mouth, he went to the edge of the stage and he said, and we're in Osaka, and he said, Tokyo, fuck, right? Like he realized halfway through that he wasn't in Tokyo. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And then somewhere in there, we were heckling them, I guess. Not heckling. We started just, where's Izzy, all that kind of stuff. And Axl had us removed, he those motherfuckers, get them out of here. So we didn't get to see the whole show, but I think what kind of occurred to me then is the way I feel about it now, where it's like we were talking about, the types of conversations where, in a perfect world, it would be Steven Adler and Izzy Stradlin and it, the kinds of the sentiment of like the idea that overblown having the dizzies and fucking Teddy Zigzag on harmonica and some chick playing laptops, whatever the fuck, it was like, it would be great, but it's like that. How can you can't expect someone to sing in key, scream in key and falsetto at that age, man. And if you could do it, it's really hard to fucking do. There's no shame in that stuff, right? It's like the idea at the end of the day, it's like, if you have Izzy and Steven there, that guy still can't sing those songs anymore. No, like he could sing the songs, but how can you expect it? You can't expect a 60-year-old guy to be screaming in falsetto and key. That's just not, there's no shame in that, man. That's like, dude, that's like, you knew that when you were recording those songs in your 20s. It's like, this is perishable. This isn't going to last forever, man. Like, so giving him shit, or it's like, it doesn't matter. Even if Izzy is there or Adler's there and it isn't whatever, or it is what people want. You can't expect someone to be in their 60s and singing like that. It's and there's no fucking shame in that. That's be like asking Michael Jordan to join a team in the NBA and then just start like expect him to dunk on LeBron or something. It's like, no, right. It's like, that doesn't mean it wouldn't be cool though to see Michael Jordan, playing horse with someone or whatever, or screwing around, but to expect him to like join a team and compete and bring a championship or something, that's just not gonna fucking happen. So luckily their songs are so fucking good that with Axl even singing the songs half as well, is that it's still gonna be cool, right? Or with whoever the fuck, right, playing those songs, it's still gonna be, because the songs are fucking great, right? Because they're a great band. But for people that want it to be 1987 again, it's just not gonna happen.
Sure. And that's certainly been a topic of discussion, and I had a kind of like a speech in one of the podcasts about it, giving my own review when I saw them in Jersey a couple weeks ago. And it's like, I don't want to lie to myself or my listeners, being like, there's certain songs it does not sound great on. Other songs sound great. However, that did not take away from my enjoyment. I still appreciate it for what it is. And I would not want to replace Axl with AI or some sort of other singer that could sound like the records. I don't want that. Like you gave a good example I use often is sports. I would love to see Michael Jordan play, but you can't expect him to be the Michael Jordan that used to be.
Right.
And what has happened, which you see certain players adjust when they get older. Fastball pitchers learn to be smarter in placement. So what I did notice, he was relying on Duff and Melissa, one of the keyboard players, kind of to help fill up some of the vocals, and which I think is great. I think is absolutely. So I guess with all that, because you are obviously a super fan, and I fucking love it. I love it. So, and what I'm trying to do, and I appreciate you going to the nether regions of your memory, trying to think where you were, because as I mentioned before, because you had your stint in Nine Inch Nails was from 2005, 2007, and
4
ish.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going by the Holy Grail of Wikipedia, so I mean, I'm sure it's not exact.
Yeah,
but that was a unique time for GN'R, and you came in after Robin and Fink left to go. So, and you knew Gary Sunshine. So I'm just curious. I'm sure you would have mentioned it by now, and I guess not after the Where's Izzy thing. You know, if they ever reached out to you to be a guitarist, or what you thought a band that you loved, and when you heard like, oh my God, for the first time, and hearing them become industrial, you know, that sound, and playing with your friends. I mean, I know you know Josh Freese, you know Billy Howardell. It's got to, like, they were shaping into becoming Nine Inch Nails. So I'm just curious.
Well,
what your thoughts were.
in the early aughts, like when I'm talking, yeah, when I was in the Icarus Line, it shifted a little bit in that, yeah, it went from them being this band that I, was a massive fan of as a kid to like now my band that is also from Los Angeles that's playing, even though we're on the fucking ninth stage out in the parking lot. It's like I kind of at that, I was early 20s. There was a competition thing too, in that way where it's like I felt like we fucking could blow those old men off the stage. It was like, or whatever those guys are doing now. It's like that's cool, but like check it out. Like we're the new shit from LA or whatever, and then a bunch of dudes wearing uh fucking chicken buckets and cornrows and football jerseys was like, it was like, fuck you, we're here to fuck you up, like um and I guess in a certain way, I mean, yeah, I don't know if I've ever listened to Chinese Democracy all the way through, but I mean,
You haven't? Okay.
I'm sure I have once, like there's some good there's a couple good tunes on there, but the way I felt was that my band was fucking better. That's that's you have ego and that kind of stuff that age. But yeah, I like that IRS song. That was cool.
Yeah.
There's that song with the Josh Freese riff, right? I guess that's the Chinese Democracy song, right?
Yeah, he came on. He's been on the show a couple times. I don't know if we'll get him on again since he's Mr. Foo Fighter now. But
Oh, that's right.
he said that initially it was called "Smells Like Josh Spirit"
Yeah,
because they kind
yeah,
of had like a Nirvana vibe, and that was before the lyrics and everything. So I
yeah,
love because that's such a, and that's what even before we got into it, your appreciation for this era is you're not alone.
yeah.
Actually, the guy who wrote me the letter to get you on the show says, I love Chinese Democracy, that era. It's so fascinating, whether you love or you hate Buckethead.
Oh, right. Just because it's like, yeah, like because we're looking at through the lens, being our ages, uh, that rock and roll, at least at the time, we just thought that rock and roll was gonna be the as big as it was forever. We just assumed
Mm.
that rock music or whatever the fuck was going to be, yeah, the most popular form of music forever and ever. That's just wasn't the case, right? We didn't know that the not only was the music industry going to completely collapse, but that, yeah, hip hop and pop music and all that kind of stuff were going to become as big as they are now, and that rock music wasn't going to be uh you know on people's priority or whatever the fuck that
We're
means.
always
But
the underdog. That's fine
yeah,
by me. I don't want to be the most popular.
right.
It's
But
yeah.
yeah, and like I said, in hindsight too, it's like it's not as of the only reason maybe, yeah, at the time you got to see it from my point of view. Like I said, was, I was in a band and it was like it was weird because all of a sudden we were in a strange way contemporaries in a way with this band, so
Hmm.
as opposed to it being, these people that we were friends. But like I said, in hindsight, like it's still, even though it's super weird, and like I said, there was, in a live situation, there's 9 people playing guitar on stage. It's still, you look back, there's nothing else really like that was going on, right? It's
Right.
like it's very unique, right? Like is you say that for it, right? Which is fucking cool, right? Like, uh, yeah. So no hate whatsoever. I just, yeah, like
Oh,
I was just such a fucking fan that
and you're
it,
talking like a fan, which
that
you
like,
should be allowed to do.
right. I just was like, at the time, the way me or bandmates felt was like, fuck, man, I don't, whatever it fucking takes, get fucking Izzy. And I'll admit that's kind of how I felt when I heard those last couple songs that came out, where it's like, because I don't even think people, I guess that bums me out to a degree that like people don't realize how important Izzy was to the band, right? It's like he didn't just kind of write, the guy wrote, and the songs that he wrote, he didn't just write the fucking music, he wrote the words too. Like Patience, he wrote the entire, like, Don't Cry, I'm sure Axel wrote some of it, but like he wrote the music and the words for a lot of stuff. And then was uh he was massive. He was in my opinion, other than Axel, the best songwriter in one of the biggest bands in the world. And uh yeah, it was lightning in a bottle, and you just kind of wish that they could figure it out, right? Like, because fuck, man, and the sound too, of like the kind of, I was talking shit as soon as Izzy quit and they had Gilby Clarke, right? Because it's just like, fuck, man, that Izzy's guitar parts are just like those fucking songs, right? When you listen to Mr. Brownstone or It's So Easy, it's Izzy's guitar parts that is the fucking song. You know, it's like, Slash is going, he's playing chord. If you don't have Izzy playing that part, you know, it's just not the same, right?
Yeah.
And I just kind of felt as a fan, as soon as he wasn't there and someone else, it was like, it was like, even though we were already bummed out that Popcorn wasn't in the mix anymore, it's like nothing against Matt Sorum or anything like that, but uh yeah but
Well, let me ask you, because I love your perception of this. In addition to a musician, you're a fan. That's kind of how I approach. I work in radio, but I'm also a fan.
yeah
So I think that comes out, and I think that comes out in your live playing, which is why people love watching you play, because you're a performer. But I guess with a lot of things that you have gone through in your past, and if people don't know your entire story, they should
yeah
go back and look. When you have somebody like Izzy who left the band because of addiction issues and mental health issues, and we've been talking a lot about Axel,
yeah
and he has gone on record with some of the issues that he's had and abuse, and you
yeah
look at who he is now. I guess I want to know your perception, because you've spoken about your mental health, how that
yeah
led to your departure from Nine Inch Nails. You can correct me if I'm wrong. So how do you look at the
no,
choices and
absolutely.
them leaving with through that lens of mental health and doing what's best for you, I guess, as a person to survive? Because Izzy may be dead if he stayed with GN'R.
No, absolutely. Like, you know, I have been fortunate enough to be able to play in some incredible bands, and to also be able to be in a position where I can fucking quit when I want to, and then also be able to pick it up again when I feel like it. Like with the Icarus Line, it wasn't like some band I just played in. That was my band, and I quit my band, which is, talking about Izzy Stradlin, I
Right.
can absolutely fucking relate to that, where it's like you're not quite, the singer wants to do a music video, yeah, like we're like where it's, you know, people soloing on top of pianos or in front of churches, or all that kind of stuff, and you're not quite seeing eye to, it seems like it's getting bloated or weird or whatever, or you just don't like the direction it's going in, so you fucking quit. You take your ball and you go play somewhere else, which is exactly what I did in the Icarus Line, right? And with Nine Inch Nails, it wasn't as much. That was always going into that's Trent's band. It's a different situation, right? It's like you're going in and you're playing Trent's tunes and it's fun, but I guess in a similar way, yeah, like when I started playing in Nails, the idea, we thought it was going to be 6 weeks. We thought it was going to be one tour, and I was going to go back to doing whatever. Everyone was going to go back to doing whatever they did. It turned into 3+ whatever years, hundreds and hundreds of shows, which was fun. I had a great fucking time. But when it got to where it wasn't fun for me anymore, yeah, I was able to quit, and I had to. I probably, in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have gone. I shouldn't have done the Nails thing. Maybe, I don't know. Like,
Mm.
it was so quick. I had maybe 2 weeks between the Icarus Line and Nails, and I was I was heartbroken about having to quit the Icarus Line. It was because it was fucking my band. It's like people that I had known for a decade or whatever. It was absolutely traumatizing, right? But
Mm.
I probably should have taken a time out then, but I jumped straight into the Nails thing, and uh maybe took a lot of that baggage with me on the road, or
Mm.
whatever that means, but it's yeah. So, but yeah, I had with Nails, it was fun because it wasn't my band. That's
Okay.
what I could just play guitar. I could just show that was so it's fucking fun. It was incredible, right? Like I didn't have to worry about what was going on with the label or if we were getting screwed on this or whatever the fuck it was,
You
or
didn't
if there's
go
enough.
into it thinking it was going to be, well, you mentioned it was only going to be a few weeks, but
Right.
was there any hope of making it more than that and working with Trent on a musical level and as opposed to just performing?
No, only because yeah, there's at that time too. It's dude, Trent was he was going through a lawsuit with his old manager where it was like everyone, including him, it was certain that he was going to lose that, and that this his old manager was going to get like literally the rights to the band name and the logo and shit. Right. The fact, like we were on tour and Trent would have to be like flying back to New York to go to court like
Oh.
between shows and shit. And yeah, it just didn't seem no, I
The situation didn't seem like it was
yeah.
settled, I guess.
Yeah, no, it just we were all under the impression, at least I was, and a lot of the other people were, that it was like, yeah, Trent's gonna lose this lawsuit. By the time we probably finish this tour, we're not even gonna be able to use the Nine Inch Nails logo on the fucking
Mm.
posters and shit because this, that's what the feeling was.
Wow.
And the fact that give Trent a shitload of credit, the fact that he could even be at, like that it didn't crush him completely, right? Like, because if it was me, I wouldn't have handled that as well. The fact
Mm.
that he was able to do that and be dealing with that kind of stress and all that kind of stuff was and still is very impressive to me. But yeah, it didn't seem there was never any. Yeah, the idea of some sort of a future there just wasn't. I, I
Well, what
yeah.
about on a friendship level, talking to him about stress? You see him dealing with stress. You said you were
Mhm.
going through things. Did those kind of conversations ever happened? Or was it more
Oh
of
yeah.
just, okay, a job?
No, like yeah, we had fuck man. He's a cool guy. He's uh we had what we had in common was we were, and I realize it more as more time goes on. One of the things that I had in common with Trent was anger and how we kind of used or with music. I didn't know how to operate not being angry, and he kind of similar, right? Where it was like, uh, and just using the music or as an outlet maybe or one way, but like yeah, just the amount of yeah, I was absolutely very much fueled by a lot of anger and hatred and those kinds of things, and I didn't know how to play music not being angry,
Mm.
like or with that kind of attitude. And I guess that's something that we had in common. Yeah, I had a great time. Like I I know people, one thing that people do uh ask me about when they ask me about Nine Inch Nails things is kind of like, because I know there's all these um in the way the culture is now, people are trying to find some kind of dirt or something on something back then, like
Oh,
always
not
was.
me. I told
No,
you
and I
before. I told you before we aired. I was like, anything you want me to avoid, I don't want to
no,
talk
no,
about
but that's the thing
it.
is like there really is. It's like I don't have to cover for any, but like there's nothing
Hmm.
there is no nefarious fucking Trent Reznor nonsense. There was nothing like that. It was like yeah, there was I don't have anything bad to say about anybody there, or I had a great fucking time. Yeah, like how could you not? His songs are killer, and they're fun to play, and on top, it was like it's a how many other bands, the amount of freedom that he gave all of us uh was over the top, right? Because for a lot of those songs, he was just kind of bored of playing them a certain way. He
Mm.
never ever I would change things every night. It's like, oh, I'm gonna completely different parts here and there. It was always like, cool, like do what you want to do, you know. It's like uh he gave that kind of freedom to, because he trusted the people who were there. But yeah, I don't have absolutely nothing bad to say about my experience whatsoever. Yeah.
You'll be pleased to know it's the same kind of concept with Axel, with all the
Yeah.
people who I've interviewed,
Right.
where they say nice things. Like
Yeah.
I don't, you listen to any of these podcast episodes, no one's really bashing Axel,
Right.
and it's not like I'm searching for that, or they're
Right.
trying to be defensive. It's these are all, even with off-air conversations. So it goes to show you what the media can do
Right.
sometimes. But with that, because I don't want to keep you here
Oh
forever,
yeah.
but I do want to ask on something. When I read about it, because I don't know where I was when I guess the event happened, and it was, I guess, one of the infamous 9 shows at the Hard Rock,
Mm.
and when you broke the Stevie Ray Vaughan glass and you took
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
guitar out, and
Yeah.
it's interesting, and I immediately thought about Axel, reading
Huh.
how you felt about that, how some people thought that was so rock and roll and so cool, and you were so open and honest of being like, no, I had a manic episode on
Yeah.
stage, because I too, people may be surprised, I'm gotten better, but fueled by anger. So anger is an emotion I do
Yeah.
identify with, and I've gone to therapy, medication, all that. Thankfully, I'm in a better place now. But I guess, how do you look at that moment now, uh, all these
Mm.
years later, and do you look at something like when Axel, he's jumping off the stage attacking somebody, where that story's been skewed? He was the guy taking pictures. He's like, get that guy, get the St. Louis incident.
Oh
He
yeah.
was elbowing fans, making his way down. So that was his only way of like defending fans.
Yeah.
So, but that doesn't mean he was the right uh way to solve the
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
But I kind of look at it that way, as mental health, or why he was late a lot of times. So
Yeah.
I guess, how do you, again, through your lens, your perception, not only how do you feel about that episode of yours, and I appreciate how honest you've been, or that, go back and read that article from Spin
Yeah.
2013 where you talk about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that, I know that's
Though
a
that,
big batty question, but
well, I'll tell you, like that kind of ties back into when I was talking about Buddy Had Things, and how, like, I don't think what got reported at the time, what people didn't realize was one of the bands that we would, another band, or talking about a lot of bands on there talking shit or gossip or whatever, but one of those bands was Limp Bizkit at the time, right? And this show that happened in Austin was part of the South by Southwest festival, and we had kind of heard before, but found out before our set that there were people from the Limp Bizkit Interscope, whatever, like uh, crew or whatever, that were going to show up and assault us or whatever it was. Right? We got that all with the Icarus Line. It was literally every fuck, man. That band was just a whirlwind of craziness. But we were just physically threatened everywhere we went, which we probably should have been, though, actually, because
I
we
thought
were
this
little
was with
shits.
9. I thought that this
No, no, the Stevie Ray Vaughan thing was with the Icarus
Oh,
Line.
my mistake. I apologize.
No, yeah, no, and it was so there were people up in the balcony that were with the Limp Bizkit Interscope that were throwing quarters and shit at me, right? Like, which is what kind of throwing stuff on stage, and is what kind of set that off, right? And there was the things going on behind the scenes where we had just finished like 2 months in Europe, and I'm in the kind of European tour where you're doing like 3 weeks in Germany, and it's just like fucking miserable or whatever. And our drummer was, it was our last show. The drummer, knowing that we had to kick him out after the end of the show, and it was, what part of that too was, maybe I was trying to start a problem that our manager was going to have to fix in a way too. But there's a lot of things going on at once. But it was like, yeah, like I cracked in public, yeah, admittedly, and yeah, but I didn't hurt any. I didn't assault anybody,
Mm-hmm.
any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, it wasn't the only time that that's one of the things maybe that kind of bothers me, is when when people talk about me in a way that, like, yeah, I was like, I should have been in a straight jet, or that I was just constantly fucking fighting people in the crowd or like hurting people is a bummer, right? Like the worst thing that ever happened in Nails was, I got sued for over $1 million. This guy said that I attacked him with a mic stand, right? And I got sued. It got settled out of court. And funny, on a side note, by that time in Nails, I had the same lawyer as Guns N' Peter Paterno was my lawyer. The guy who got me out of all that trouble was Peter fucking Paterno, which was funny, but like,
Interesting.
but the incident wasn't funny. Someone did get hurt, which is fucked up and terrible, but it was an accident. And but the fact that what wasn't cool was they came after me saying that I did it on purpose, and that was the way that it got reported, or that it was seen by a lot, that I was just the idea that I would want to hurt people in the audience or hurt people, that is absurd and
People just want
sad.
money. They just don't. They look at an opportunity, and then and if they look up on your history and they see anything mental health related, it's just, oh, he's crazy.
Which is what. So like,
awful.
Not to make it story too, or my story even more confusing, but yeah, like it was like when we had to go to court against the person saying that I did this stuff, or all this stuff that wasn't true on purpose. Yeah, they were bringing up things. Yeah, for example, there was a girl who sued me in the Icarus Line when we were on tour with A Perfect Circle, that said that I threw a water bottle out, and that it made her slip and break her neck and all this shit. And it was like when this incident with Nails came up, yeah, they were bringing up all these other even lawsuits that were totally ridiculous. And so I see both sides to it. I'm not saying that I don't have a hand, or that I'm not guilty of bad decision making whatsoever, or anything like that. Like I probably wouldn't do a lot of those things the same way twice, but it was a bummer that I was made out to be this kind of, and to this day, that I'm this kind of cartoon character, or that I'm this like crazy fucking mentally ill person who sleeps in the gutter in a straitjacket. I don't know what the fuck. I don't give a fuck what people think about. They can think whatever they want, but that was disappointing, I guess, or that had anything to do with why I don't play with Nails anymore, or the Icarus Line, or whatever the fuck it is, right? It's like, now the reason I don't play with any of those bands anymore is because I didn't want to anymore. I didn't want to do what I was doing. And I've been playing in bands and touring, all that kind of, from the age of 14 to through like all that. It was the only thing I did. I didn't know how to do anything else, and I just didn't want to do that stuff anymore. Or I wanted to see what life was like, not on tour all the time, or in a rehearsal room, or in a recording studio, and that kind of thing. It's like
I hear it's a lot like, you look a little
right.
like Izzy Stradlin.
Right.
So I mean,
absolutely.
It's your little,
so it's like,
I get it.
But no, I wish, right? Like, again, like comparing me to someone like Izzy would, that's. But yeah,
but it's that same mindset where, why would you leave this successful operation, and
right
from the outside looking in, how fans perceive it, but we're all people, and you're dealing with different issues and lawsuits, which this part of it reminds me of Axl, where he's not throwing microphones into the crowd to try to hurt people, but then people just sue him anyway. So it's it is a bit absurd.
And I understand the where there's smoke there's fire type of conversation, but I
doesn't mean it's true, right? It doesn't mean it's true.
And most people, honestly, the thing that kind of was not disappointing but interesting was that when people talked about me being crazy or whatever, most of the time, most of that stuff came from the fact that I didn't want to be in certain bands, or said no because other bands asked me to join that maybe people thought were cool opportunities that I said no to. And that just seemed crazy, that how would you not want to be in a fucking huge band? It's like, is where a lot of that crazy, Aaron's crazy because he doesn't want to tour the world and or whatever the fuck that, that's interesting. But
you've been there, done that, and that's not So
and I like,
yeah,
and I don't have any. I don't. It's not like I wouldn't ever want to play music or tour again, but it's just like, yeah, at the time, no, yeah, I needed to do this,
I
and yeah,
get it.
that's I see the, and I absolutely recognize the similarities with people like Izzy and that kind of thing, and uh, I, I guess I can relate in that way. I guess.
Well, you see it a lot in musicians now where some may be critical of, again, still mental health, but I think it was Miley Cyrus who recently, why she doesn't tour because it's mental health and the
Yeah,
reasons and because it is a lot to do. But as a fan, like, why wouldn't you want to tour the world with all these adoring fans? It doesn't translate like
yeah,
that to everybody. So I think you represent what a lot of musicians and I think what a lot of people go through. You know, trying not to fit in a box where other people want you to fit in and trying to find yourself and what makes you comfortable, what makes you happy. And that
yeah,
doesn't always align with what other people want.
yeah. I doesn't mean, yeah, like people want to read into it what they want to read it. Yeah, just because I don't play Nils and like people assume that, no, that means I hate everyone, or if I don't play with this or do that or the other, it means I fucking hate rock and roll, or I don't want. It's like it's nothing like that whatsoever. I
Hey, people thought Paris Jackson hated her father because she didn't publicly wish Michael Jackson a happy birthday,
right,
wished her
right,
like death threats.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
insane. I just want to mention one thing really quickly, and then we'll wrap up.
yeah, yeah,
Because you mentioned Peter Paterno. I would never bring
yeah.
this up unless somebody else brought up the famed lawyer. I've never met him, but I was working on a book with former Guns N' Roses manager Doug Goldstein.
Right on.
It was shaping up pretty well.
Yeah,
Uh, we went to a literary agency too early, and I told him that like we still have so much work to do.
yeah,
That guy, the agency didn't like him working with me because I'm a radio guy. I'm not a true author,
yeah.
whatever that means.
Okay, yeah,
Uh, and Doug did not want to go to another agency because this guy is boys with Peter Paterno, and he
gotcha.
only wanted to work with Peter Paterno.
Yeah,
And I was like, okay, you want to choose Peter Paterno over me? Goodbye. We've been working on this for 2-3 years. I don't need this. Goodbye. Just so like with you, why wouldn't you want to do that? I
yeah,
mental health decision. I
yeah,
get
yeah,
away.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
that means because it's sorry. I was slowly but surely bringing up stories from this book Escapade when it comes up during interviews.
So where is the book now? Like where,
On
like
my
did
hard
the,
drive. It's not finished by any means. It's close to 200 pages.
yeah,
But I mean, we had so much to do. I mean, I was just trying to pull stories out of them for the
yeah,
longest time and trying to shape that into something coherent.
yeah,
And it was, and then cutting that out and cutting them because there are a lot of things that you want to cut out because he's just telling the same stories over and over again
yeah,
sometimes. So I had a nice solid 200 pages and shaping it up into chapters where we're going to go. He's like, oh, we should be getting paid for this. Okay, sure. Let's get paid for this. And just the way, I mean, I'm a radio guy. The way the book world works is like you send them a chapter, and then a few weeks later you send them another chapter, and
yeah,
I'm writing them like a synopsis, and I'm writing them a sales report, doing all these things I've never done before. But I'm still, I've graduated college. I have a degree in journalism, broadcast journalism. I'm not an idiot.
yeah,
But this guy just wanted to work with a real author, and Doug only wanted to work with a guy who works with Peter Paterno, that Guns N' Roses old lawyer. He's like, this is the guy that would help us. Well, he's not. He can help you now. I'm gonna go back onto the podcast. That's what I'm gonna start
you
doing
know what?
again.
Like, but fuck
Let-
them, dude. Like, don't let anybody that
It affected me for a while. I was
no,
really questioning
it
myself.
should. Like, it really, like, maybe this is coming from someone who grew up in LA. I've lived in Los Angeles my entire life, and have always felt to a degree is like an outsider from all that kind of stuff. And I will say that, like, whatever that fucking weird, it feels like uh the powers that be that are like, like, because they don't want a bad look or whatever, because they don't want their version of the thing to be out there, and the way that people will try to squash that is fucked and stupid.
I know.
and and it's not, and also it's not worth fucking worrying about, because it's like but I can see how people will make it feel like they're able to make things feel like that they're this big monster and that you should be scared or you should have to take into account what they're, but you know what, fuck them, man. Like, and I've had to sign, you know all the stuff that I talked about today with you, or I should legally probably be able to get sued because I had to sign non-disclosure. You know what? Fuck all that shit. It's like, fucking sue me. What are you gonna take? It's like, if that's something that you want to do, and if anyone's gonna write a fucking good Guns N' Roses book or have something, it would be you, clearly, because you fuck writers or who, like people telling that the idea that someone could tell you that you're not a good enough or what you are, like, fuck that, man.
Well,
Like,
I
no.
appreciate you saying that because it's absurd. Because it's all about like I don't see enough character building. And what did I do today within this interview? I character built, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But they probably wanted a cookie cutter author who does things by the book, A B C D. And
No.
I'm just I do play ball, but I'm just not
Well,
that
and
guy.
aren't there enough? There's a million other books that are already
I
out there that
know,
are written by so and so. Like, who the fuck wants to read that shit?
I
Like,
know.
no, man, you gotta. I'm gonna be upset if I don't hear about that. You doing something with that, because you have to, man. You have to, like,
We'll
yeah.
see. I don't know. Like, well, I have to know if if they're his stories. Like, could I get sued?
No, well, maybe, but like, why? That's such a fucking bad look. Like,
Like I want Guns N' Roses to sue me. That would be funny because they would sue like the because I know you
I
can't tell I have a physical disability, but like the handicapped person with a baby, yeah, sue me. I would love for that to
no, that's
happen.
exactly right. It's like, that's like fuck them. Like, that's what, like, fuck them. It's like same thing with me. We're just like, yeah, like, it's funny in a way too, where it's like, yeah, if people wanted to get upset about what I was saying at the end of it, would, if they wanted to come after me, it's like, what are they going to do? Like, fucking pick on the guy, the fucking press or whoever is this mentally ill, crazy person. They're not going to fucking, it'll make them look like bullies, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, they're
Now,
not,
yeah.
it's, they just want to scare, they throw their weight around and scare you in ways and scare people. And that stuff sucks. That's a bummer, like, no, don't, dude, fuck them. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's why I'm lucky enough. This is because this podcast is just a labor of love that I do work in radio, but this is labor of love has just been one of the best things in my career to happen because I get to continually have conversations with people like you
No, it's,
and
yes,
to find out all through my 6 degrees of GNR bacon, find out about these people and that
yeah,
they're more than these just the stories that you hear that you
yeah.
think that there's a lot more to them. So with that just being said, we'll wrap up here. What are you doing now? Because I read that you were doing comedy. Are you working on anything now? I guess
Um,
how's Aaron today?
just always, I, messing around with some music stuff here and there, but like, yeah, doing stand up and stuff like that, which is fun. It kind of quenches whatever, part of me wants to get on stage and perform, I guess. It's because it's thinking on your feet and that kind of stuff.
How often do you perform?
Uh, Pretty often, like, it's part of that's just living in LA. It's there's on any given night there's 30 different stand-up shows, in town, which is cool, because it's like, there really is a lot of exciting, cool, inspiring stuff happening with stand-up that makes it fun for me. It's like, and I'm not approaching it in any kind of careerist way. I just like doing it, so it's,
One of my brothers does that. He hasn't done it in
yeah,
a while, but like he's done a handful of stand-up performances just to do it.
yeah,
It was no
yeah,
career path. So
yeah.
I respect that. And wow, I mean, what a hard you picked like the two hardest careers, to make it as musician and make it as stand-up comedy. But
Well,
you're doing what you love, and that's what matters. If you
yeah,
ever perform out here in New York, I mean, I would love to
right
see you.
on, right on,
Any
right on.
Nine Inch Nails jokes in the on the set or no?
You know what? I don't really
Any
talk
music
about.
jokes?
I don't really talk
Oh,
about music that much.
okay,
Maybe like, yeah, maybe because it's a little too on the nose or something. But
sure.
it's like, yeah, yeah. Mostly talk about like I have a parrot, I have a bird, talk about my bird or
Nice.
weird things like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I love it. So if you want to keep up to date with, I mean, you don't really update it though, your Instagram. I know fans
Well,
can reach you.
here and there, sometimes, like, but yeah, I'll always trying, yeah. Instagram, I'm sure I'll be updating it again sooner than later. But
Well, yeah, you can
yeah,
search for Aaron North, which is technically generic underscore prescriptions.
yeah, 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 yeah,
So yeah, if you want a little prescription, you want some or some
yeah.
advice, just check out Aaron on Instagram. Well, I can't thank you enough for doing this and spending some time with me. We probably went a little OT,
Yes, yeah.
but
Sorry about that. Yeah, feel free. Like, I like that you know what you're doing. So yeah, and post, just cut out all the stuff where I'm
oh no.
where I ramble nonsensically or whatever. And but
No,
like
I mean that as far as just respectful of your time. That's the beauty of podcasts. People can stop and start whenever they want. I
yeah,
treat it like a live show because I think
yeah,
that's the vibe I want. But yeah, people could stop and start and watch or just listen when they're
yeah,
jogging, however they want to do it. So hopefully they
yeah.
all enjoyed this little
And
conversation
it's cool.
today.
Yeah, congratulations on what you're doing and everything. And yeah,
Thank
don't
you.
yeah, whether it's a podcast or books or anything. Yeah, don't let anybody else dictate what you're doing or how you're gonna do it. Yeah,
Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And so next episode, which one of the things I do love doing, I'm probably going to have to get a few listeners on at the same time. I've been doing fan reviews.
Right on.
So it gives them an outlet. They just saw Guns N' Roses. They have pictures to share. They have videos to share. They want to talk about it. I give them an outlet on this podcast. But being the dad of a 4-month-old, I just needed some sleep to catch up on for the
Yeah,
longest time.
no, that's
So
intense.
I'm a little behind with that. So that'll probably be the next episode of Appetite for Distortion.
Right
But
on.
when will you see it? You'll appreciate my tagline, Aaron.
Right on.
Well, when will you see it? Well, in the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, I don't know if soon is the word, but you'll see it.